Welcome to the next lesson in the WiSys Form Studio video training series. Today we are going to continue with our inventory receipt form and finish up the bin and lot fields on the form by adding lookups, validations, and a SQL event that's going to check an agility options variable and take appropriate action based on that value. So first, let's go ahead and open Agility Explorer. We're going to go to Agility Options WMS. And under PO Receipt, since we're working with an inventory receipt form, we're going to check this option to not allow receiving into existing lots. We're going to go ahead and say OK. And then let's go ahead and launch Form Studio. And we're going to get our training project. And as we've done before, let's go ahead and copy the form so that we have a before and after. And I'm going to go ahead and open my form. One thing you'll note is the order of forms is sorted alphabetically. And I might want my L10 here to be below my L9. Well, if I want that to happen, I can control that using this sequence number field here. That's what this is for. So if by default, everything gets sequence 100, and then it sorts alphabetically. If I want to change that, I can change this to 110, and I'll save my form. And then if I reopen my project, you'll notice that my form is now at the bottom. This sequence number also controls the order of icons as they appear in Agility Mobile. So now let's move on to our bin field, and let's add a lookup. And if you remember, we can create the lookup using the SQL Builder, or we can use the Advanced tab and type in our SQL, or a method I like to do is write my SQL in the SQL Management Studio to test it to make sure it's all going to work, and then just copy and paste it in here. My return field is going to be my bin number, and let's go ahead and save that. Then we also want to validate when the user enters a bin that it's actually a bin that's for this item and location. So we're going to go to our actions and add a validation transaction. And our category is still inventory. Go down to the receipts, and we have a receipt validate bin number. We're going to pass it the values from our form. And in this case, the only return data is a quantity on hand from the bin, and we're not going to need that for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and say finish and close. And then let's go ahead and move on to our lot field. And again, we need to define a lookup. So I'm going to go grab my lookup that I already wrote. And if you notice, I'm checking a pound variable here to see if it contains the value of true. This is the variable that we turned on in Agility Options. And those variables, a list of those, show up under this WMS settings section. And you can always tell that it's an options variable because it starts with a pound. And you'll see that our PO rec new lot variable is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I have to have a return field even though we're not really returning anything. And so let's go ahead and test this out. Save my form, emulate it, and I know that I have a form. It's a binned and lotted item. Oops. Let's use our lookup that we wrote. Grab bin 100. And now if we try to look up a lot, we get the message that you can't receive to an existing lot, which is good. However, if we were to type in a lot that's valid and press enter, it's going to accept that. So we need to make another change to our form so that it prevents a user from typing or scanning an existing lot when that value in Agility Options is set to not allow the user to receive into an existing lot. So to do this, let's go add an action, and it's going to be a SQL event. So we're going to write some SQL to trap users from receiving into an existing lot. So technically, we want to just use the exact same code that was in our lookup. With one minor difference. We're setting this value into a variable, but this isn't a valid Form Studio variable. So one of the neat things about Form Studio is if you hit save, right up here under data, you can access the variables without going all the way back out to the main menu. So I'm going to go ahead and click variables, and we want to create a new one. And I'm just going to call it existing lot. Say OK. And then we go back to our advanced tab, and then let's replace this with the new variable that we created. And let's go ahead and save. Save again. And now what this is going to do is it's going to go check that value, and it's going to assign either the lot number or the error message to our variable. But what we need to do now is check the status of that variable and provide the user an error if they're not allowed to receive to an existing lot. So we're going to do that by adding a formula, new, and we're going to find our variable, existing lot. We want to check to see if that's equal to what's in our message here. Now copy and paste so that I don't make any typos. And we're going to add this. So right now, our formula says if existing lot is equal to cannot receive into an existing lot, what we want to do is we want to provide a message. So if you look, our formula is the true is for this middle section here. So we want, if this evaluates to true, we want to provide a message down here. So I'm going to hit this reverse logic button so that now the true condition is down here in our message box. And so if this condition is true, we're going to throw a hard message box that tells the user they can't receive into an existing lot. So let's go ahead and save this. Close. Close again. And we're going to save our form, and let's test it. And there's our message. So now we have successfully added a SQL event that will force the user to make sure that they do not enter a receipt or do not do a receipt that allows you to receive into an existing lot. So it's always good to test our form. So I'm going to exit out of Form Studio here. And let's go back to Agility and turn that value off. Let's uncheck this. So now it is okay to receive into an existing lot. And let's go test our form to make sure it works both ways. Bin 100. And now our lookup works, and we can successfully receive into an existing lot. This concludes the lesson on adding SQL events and checking agility options variables in a form.